What's up, Zach here, and today I've got the all-new LeBron 23, and these ones are quite a departure from the little mini line we got from the 20s to the 22s. A lot of good, a lot of, we'll say suspect, put it that way, but I think a lot of people are gonna like them. I think a lot of people are not. Where you fall on that, probably, you'll let me know at the end of the video in the comments down below. Now, starting off in the uppers, you know, a little bit it kind of looks like the 20 through the 22, but all in all, it's kind of a new design. Now, number one, it does have Nike Sphere in the tongue, which is great. The tongue, which is, I think this is really cool. You get the nice thick padding under here in the tongue, but then you also get padding from the sphere. So it's a 2-layer tongue underneath. Thought it was very comfortable. I actually did have some lace irritation in these. I just kind of had to mess with the laces for a minute and then it went away. But I did have some in the beginning, and this, like I said, it's padded up the hilt. So it was just probably my foot shape in the shoe. So I don't think that's representative of, you know, the larger public in terms of lace irritation. And then in the back here, once again, you do have more Nike Sphere. I don't know why they don't put it in this in more shoes. I love Nike Sphere. Yeah, I mean, you kind of compress it a little bit probably after a while, but it is still nice to have a little bit of that potential for airflow through the shoe, especially because these are pretty bulky shoes in the uppers. Look at them on the microscope, and I thought this was, I don't know. You'll tell me in the comments what you think. Yes, they are very substantial. They feel premium, they look premium, but you see on a microscope that there's no light material in here. This is all just pretty standard, very dense textile in the uppers. And then after that, you've got basically just this foam rubber like paneling stuff here on the outside. Actually, I should probably cut through this and see what this is. I didn't look. Yeah, it's almost like a mini foam posit almost in here. That's exactly what it is, just foam. Yeah, so it's a lot of material. Look at it on the breathability test. Yeah, I mean, you guessed it. There was not fog getting out of anywhere besides the gussets of the tongue. Now, the tongue is gusseted, which is nice, pretty nice aggressive gusset, got that big net. And then the lace line, it is cabled, stitched, and then it goes into the strobel underneath of the midsole, which we'll talk about when we get to the midsole section. But all in all, the uppers are well made for sure. And you have a ton of containing elements in here that is gonna, yeah, it's kind of a catch-22 on these, which we'll talk about in a minute. I know I'm kind of teasing a lot of things, but you kind of have to look at the shoe as a whole to piece this together. It's a complicated shoe in terms of what I like and what I don't like about it. You don't get a runner's knot in these things, but I found that heel slippage was a big old goose egg, really none to speak of. Even if I had an orthotic in it, which we'll talk about, I really made mild. You know, it sat you up a little bit, so it was mild. And these are wide orthotics in the heel, and so we'll talk about that in the fit section for sure. But in terms of the uppers, like I said, well made, not well ventilated. I'll leave it at that. All right, shoes like the LeBron 23 are the reason that I do midsole teardowns even on drop-ins, because this is where this shoe really goes off the rails. All right, number one, you do have a near full-length ZoomX drop-in on the top. Now that is carried by Cushlon. And underneath of it, there is a carbon fiber shank, and it is really big. I mean, that is a broad, wide carbon fiber shank. That's crazy. Thing is it is actually pretty bendy. I mean, it is thin carbon fiber. You can actually see the fibers here, the strands. Like, you typically don't see that. Typically, these just are real brittle and they crack. When I cut it open, you can kind of see they were wanting to kind of stay together, real kind of stringy. Now, in the tensiometer, it only takes 46 newtons to get these things to 45 degrees. Yeah, the carbon fiber actually is decently stiff, you know, in hand. It's just that as the shoe as a whole, it doesn't, you know, it's a drop-in, you know, so that carbon fiber is not attached to the shoe. So it does bend pretty easily. Now this bends appropriately, as you can see on the top down, and then torsional stability is actually pretty darn good because the drop-in is so wide. And we'll keep talking about that. There's some other reasons that's really important. But, you know, honestly, there's a decent amount of bending here, and the width here in the rear foot, that's another thing we're gonna have to talk about in the fit section. But okay, so that's that. Now on the bounce height test, 47 centimeters in the rear foot, and then 43 in the forefoot. I found that weird, because in the rear foot, you actually have a larger ratio of Cushlon 3.0 and ZoomX. In the forefoot, it's more ZoomX, and yet in the rear foot, it sounded bouncier in the rear foot of the ball bearing. It, you know, just obviously was. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, if you go to the lateral side of the drop-in, the outside of the foot, it's hard to see on the top. Actually, you can see it okay. This is actually a different insert of foam on the outside. It goes right on the lateral side. Now, I don't know if this is just like a brushed Cushlon, like they put some, lacquer on it or something to make it more stiff, or if this is actually Phylon, either they put like an additive in there, but it is stiffer, and that's for lateral containment in the shoe. And I thought that was interesting because you do kind of need it. But so much going on with the drop-in, and I do like this. I kind of wish more companies would do this, even just on regular shoes, because it allows you to get a little bit more, of a comfortable, maybe soft midsole underfoot, but still have some containment. I thought that was fantastic. The other thing you got to think about with this shoe is that the heel height is 3.3 centimeters. This thing is crazy off the ground. And like I keep saying this, we'll talk about it in the fit section, but that is another thing we really got to talk about in the fit section. It also has quite a substantial arch, which does feel great underfoot. Really does feel nice underfoot. Honestly, the drop-in, typically ZoomX doesn't feel super cushy, but I think it's because of all the Cushlon in it. But underfoot feel, I thought was pretty good. It kind of has the Goga mat too, with all these, I think they have these little crown logos here, but it definitely has a lot of tactile feel on there. Your socks definitely feel the drop-in. It doesn't feel wobbly, and that's because of the rails here. You see how high up it goes in the rear foot, how wide the drop-in is compared to the shoe. And so it stays in there really, really, really well. The next thing that is just about as perplexing gets those. Take the drop-in out, look what's underneath of it. This looks like either a strobo board that has a lot of cushioning in it, or it looks like just a regular insole, but it is stitched into the shoe. We saw this with Way of Wade, stitching their insoles into the shoe. Now, what I don't understand is the only reason to put this in is to cushion not the drop-in, is it to cushion the strobo boards, to cushion the midsole, under foot feel. Why have it underneath of it? It's just jacking the height of the shoe up and making the shoe more unstable. I mean, I get it. You want to make the shoe feel more soft, feel more like, luxurious. This is a flagship LeBron shoe. I just feel like, why underneath? It's number one, it's just gonna compress, and number two, if it doesn't, it's just one more layer between you and the ground. You're already super high off the ground in a drop-in. To me, this was just I'm still trying to figure out the exact reason for this. Aside from that perplexing thing, like I said, a lot in the midsole, a lot to like about the midsole. I do like how the carbon fiber was put on this. I think some people will complain that it's too thin and then it's not, not real, strong carbon fiber. But remember, with carbon fiber, if you make it really thin but really broad, you're getting all the best parts of the carbon fiber without the crazy stiffness. And because it is molded and it doesn't go into the forefoot, you're also gonna get a little bit more forgiveness. So like I said, all in all, some things to like, some things not to like, but you gotta at least give it to them. They really shot for the moon here on this midsole. There's a lot going on, a lot of engineering, a lot of everything. All right, but if you thought the LeBron 23 went off the rails in the midsole, wait till you see the outsole. Okay, now the outsole in and of itself is just a wavy herringbone. That's really all it is. It is technically full length because it goes all the way around the 23 logo. The 23 goes all through there. On the grip test ramp too, they don't slip till 44 degrees. And yeah, they do pick up some dust, but it does not matter. They grip so well. The lateral flange it comes to a point. It is crazy how acute that lateral flange is. And so grip on these, especially if you stay up on the balls of your foot, out of this world. The thing is though, okay, so let's do the outsole durability test first, all right? 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper. The durometer of these like 15.75. It's tackier rubber, it's softer rubber, and the burr kind of works. It's by millimeter of damage. Okay, but what else did you notice when I was showing you the outsole durability test? Look what my hand was covering. Look, the stitching of the uppers, you can see through the outsole tread in the back, and you can see it on both sides, the stitching. Now, I get it. You can see the stitching here too. I get it. It's meant to show the tooling of the shoe. But thing is, here, I'll do it on this side. Thing is you literally, I know the shoe's cut open, so obviously you can see, but you can put your instrument right through there. It goes right through, even on this side. You can just poke it. It goes right up the sides of the shoe. There you go, right up the shoe. And so that's kind of weird that you can do that. I know they were meant to be put on, indoor courts. This is a flagship shoe. These are expensive shoes. It's just like, I made this look really weird, really quick, because you can see, I don't get that for a flagship shoe, why you wouldn't maybe put some clear rubber on here or something, just something to cover there, or put something over top of this just to cover this up. Because I do wonder, if, I know it's in the rear foot, so you're not gonna be putting a ton of pressure, but I do wonder if this rubber starts, you start putting a lot of pressure on it, does the rubber start delaminating this? Like, does that start moving out over time, especially people that are playing really hard in these? I'd love to see what someone says after 6 months, especially in the comments down below. Come on back, give me a comment down below. Did I overblow that, or was that really a thing? But yeah, just bizarre, right? The rest of the shoe is so overbuilt and so well built. And then you come down here and I don't know if it's, like I said, if this is meant to be a thing to show you the stitching or not, but I think no matter what, I think I wouldn't have done it, put it that way. All right, but if you thought the LeBron 23 went off the rails in the outsole tread, wait till you hear about the fit of them. Now, number one, it is a drop-in, and if you have a drop-in shoe, as long as it's a decent drop-in shoe, you're gonna lose some length and width because you have to take some of the usable space up to ride the drop-in up so that it kind of rides up along the frame of the shoe so it doesn't slip and slide out of the shoe. So if it's a good one, you're gonna lose space. And on the LeBron 23, these came in at 28.6 centimeters in length. So yeah, a little short, and that was being generous. That was me kind of counting that my heel would kind of push into the back. If you go from flat to flat, it's only 28.5 centimeters. So that's to be expected. Thing is, you still do get 9.6 centimeters of metatarsal width, which actually isn't terrible. Only 9.4 centimeters of toe box width, and then a toe box taper at 41 degrees. That thing is just swooped in like crazy. From the outside, it actually doesn't look that, I guess it does. I'm looking at the overhead now. I guess at second thought, it kind of does. But on, actually measuring the inside of the shoe here, it's really tapered in. And I think that's just, number one, it's all the material in the drop-in, but number two, it's just the overall shape of the shoe. Now, these things have a resting position of eversion of 3 degrees. That goes to 5 with loading. And that just shows you, even if you have a carbon fiber shank in them, if it's really thin carbon fiber, if it's bottom loaded, and if it's on a drop-in, it's not actually on the shoe, right? It's not as stable as if everything was integrated into one thing, right? An integrated midsole, right? A stitched in midsole or glued in midsole, whatever, is always gonna be more stable than, it's not always gonna be more stable than drop-in, but pound for pound, right? Material for material, it's always gonna be more stable because it's one unit. And so that's the thing you gotta figure. Also, in these, the rear foot of these is so narrow. The 2 here on the 23, for as wide here as the flanges in the forefoot, in the rear foot, it's really, really narrow. So, that being said, I'd say a narrow medium foot, you can go true to size. Honestly, for a medium, this is a great drop-in for a narrow or medium foot. Like I said, medium is like a true foot. It's fantastic. Number 2, if you're a 2E, I think you can go up 1/2 size in these things. You've got the length, right? It's gonna be a lot of shoe, it's gonna be heavy, but I think almost needed for the toe box width, and they lock down so incredibly well that I think it's fine. If you go up 1/2 size, just watch cranking the laces down. I think a 2E can break these in true to size, because this is just all foam, but it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a tough slog, and just getting into them is gonna be tough, especially if you have orthotics. A 4E, I'd say go up 1 size in these things, and for a 4E, it just might be a mismatch just because of the drop-in and the rails of the drop-in. But if you wanna try a 4E, I think you can go up 1/2 size just because of the length issue. So let's get to lumps, bumps, bruises, and number 1, orthotics. Now, orthotics in these things, surprisingly, they did not fit terribly. I just still don't like orthotics in drop-in shoes, just because your foot's moving within the shoe. Then the drop-in is moving, then the orthotic. And even though this drop-in is super secure, when the shoe breaks in and breaks down, it's still gonna start to move. And because the rear foot is pretty narrow, you do need a more narrow heel cupped orthotic. So think something like a Pulse Thin versus a Pinnacle, or like a Bridge versus, getting something with a wide rear foot in there is gonna be tough, or a wide forefoot. If you have a wide forefoot and you want your orthotic to match your foot, it's gonna be really tough in these. I found that I felt pretty unstable in an orthotic in these things. It was okay. If I stayed up on the balls of my foot, it was okay because the forefoot of these is decently wide, but it's tough. And I think that's why they've got the, that's why they've got the arch built in them. I think they were kind of anticipating that, but I'm sure LeBron's gonna have his built into the drop-in, right? His specifications built into the drop-in. So it's not gonna be a big deal for him. But for people like you and me that wanna put an orthotic in there, I would definitely wear it around the house first on the carpet so you could return them if you need to. So I never like orthotics and drop-ins. This is a very, very secure drop-in. It's stable. So I think some people might be able to kind of get away with it. That's not a recommendation by any means on this channel. That is not a recommendation, but I would say just it would have to be a narrower heeled orthotic or forget it. In terms of heel pain, arch pain, ball of foot pain, I think they're fine. In terms of heel pain, the combo of Zoom X, Cushlon, and then the really broad shank, it's great. I mean, arch pain, it's gonna hold up. I mean, the drop-in is molded around the arch, right? I mean, up here, it's molded around the arch here, so it's gonna hold up. You're gonna get more durability out of this Zoom X and Cushlon than you did other products with Zoom X and Cushlon. I think it's fine. Ball of foot pain, if you're narrow, I think they're just fine. There's a huge slab of foam in there, and that carbon fiber goes just far enough so that you're not gonna be bottoming through these, but you're not gonna be stepping on it, right? So yeah, I think they're okay. As long as you're narrow for ball of foot pain, I think they're okay. An ankle sprainer though, I can't say I love them. Now, if you're someone that always plays up on the balls of your foot and is always using this part of the shoe, then I think they can be okay. But this narrow rear foot to me is a problem, okay? Because when you come down like this, right, and it's wobbly, that was where I had the issue, right? If I was up here and moving, it was okay because this flange was really secure. This is more wide. I mean, the flange is very acute though. It's like a narrow flange. So you kind of really have to be pushing in to use it. But if you come down like this, right, then that's when they can roll back and forth. So that's where I think I would have the issues. It's not the 20, the 21, or 22. And the 20, 21, or 22, I thought were some of the best all-around basketball shoes in the last decade. Just in terms of comfort, in terms of injury prevention, playability, they just did everything. Well, the 22s, not as much as the 20 and 21s, but the 23s are not those shoes. They are a different breed. So if you're buying the 20s, 21s, or 22s, for the reasons I just laid out, for protection, for orthotic management, heel paint, those things, you're gonna have to rethink it in this shoe. You might like them, you might not, but it is a much different product. So just make sure you keep that in mind. But I would love to know what your thoughts are. This is not the first time we've seen the LeBron line just go way different after like a mini line of shoes. I did a whole LeBron mega teardown. I even got a fake pair of 15s sent to me, which were verified too, which is ridiculous. But if you want to check that video out and kind of see where all those kind of breaks in the lines happen, because there were a few times where the line was going one way, then it went off the rails. So if you want to check out that mega review, that mega teardown of all the LeBron flagships, make sure you click into this video right here and let me know what you think of these down below. I'll see you in the next video.